We are back, and let's bring on our first guest for part 2 of the show. First time ever on the show.
Hold on one
That
second.
is a good
Next time we have to get that soundboard working because it'd be hilarious to start it every time we brought in a guest for the game show. Just have the clap.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, this freaking thing
just
decides not to work. That'll get me on a whole rant. I'm not even going to talk about this soundboard, but let's get on a good pal of mine from Tackle Tour, Mr. Alex Mei. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Heck yeah, dude. It's been a minute since obviously we've chat on and off here, but it's been a minute since I've been able to actually see you in person, and it's cool to see the shop behind you, dude. You got quite the bait room.
This is one of the rooms. Yeah, this is definitely the bait room. I've got swim baits all over the wall. Wish you could see them. Yeah.
Don't you have a whole wall dedicated?
I do. Rats? Yeah, the ones around me right here are just covered with swim baits, and this is where I do a lot of the writing for the site. Yeah, I've got another like shack full of baits as well too. If it's a wall that's free, it's got a swim bait on it probably.
That's freaking so awesome, cool. Man. Andy, Alex is one that we need to get on a lure lab because this dude is like the king of giant rats. It's one that's intrigued me big time. I feel like, Alex, we talk about this for hours every time we see each other.
Right here, man. Yep, rats all day long, dude. Yeah, I got rats all the way up to like 9 ounces. Yeah, this is probably one of the biggest ones. This is the Zombie XL, but yeah, that's my jam, dude. I wish we were doing like a rat bracket. That's why I could talk rats all day.
Have you ever caught a bass on the rat that big?
Oh, dude, hundreds, man. I mean, like, yeah, this bait right here has probably over, I'm going to say a couple hundred bass on it already.
Listen, I can see the hook marks on that one. It's believable. I'm talking about the other one you just were holding.
Oh, so this is the crazy thing. This Zombie XL, I've caught probably 3 fish on it, and they're probably some of my smallest rat fish. It's kind of crazy, and it just kind of speaks to like how aggressive bass are. I can throw this thing all day, but I'll catch a bigger fish on that one.
Oh man,
that's awesome, dude. All right, well, we have a lot of time to obviously dig into some swim baits with you, Alex, and although this is your first time on the show, I would love to get people to get you back on here and talk more, especially rats with you. So we'll have to do a whole other show after this too. But folks, if you guys have not checked out Tackle Tour, I highly encourage you to. If you guys are rod nerds, reel nerds, bait nerds, whatever have it, when it comes to the gear side and fishability of this stuff, check out Tackle Tour. Links down below. Alex and team do a phenomenal job. So what we'll get our second guest in here. You guys have been long without him here from last week's episode. We have Brown. What's going on, buddy?
Pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, man. Well, so I told people at the beginning, but the brackets we put together, there's no way in hell that I could have done these because with my knowledge, I think we were texting of this because Brendan helped me basically. He did all of it, made the brackets, and I think I got to maybe 5 swim baits. I was like, I don't know where to go from here. Yeah.
You got pretty far. Come on now. Give yourself a little credit.
Well, the bracket that was over $100, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be like attacked by the swim bait community for being an idiot. So I'm like, I need some expertise in here for these. So
come on,
pumped to have you back on the show, though, buddy.
Thank you,
welcome
man.
Back.
Yeah. All right. And last but not least, a good friend of the show, the bait man, Mr. Kevin Baxter. What's going on, dude?
What's up, man?
I've
been yelling at my damn kid to hustle up in basketball for the past hour and a half. So, bait genius.
Did he at least win?
No.
No. Oh, all right. Sorry for the somber note.
I'm just too dang competitive. I don't care if it's bass fishing or 4th grade basketball. I want to win, dang it. I'm not even coaching. I'm on the sidelines. I'm just not like football. So
you're the dad that's like on the line of being supportive of his kid, but also getting kicked out of the game.
Yeah, I had to, use the bathroom at one point just to.
I got you.
I feel that was growing up in hockey. That was my dad for sure, and that's what my dad was telling me. He's like, if you ever have kids, you can't go to their hockey games. He goes, you will get thrown out. The way if I was like how I am with my brother growing up, I was almost getting kicked out of games when I was in high school. Like, so as a parent, who knows how bad I would be. But, all right, fellas. So we're gonna kick this thing off here. Let me get this all set up here. We have a whole thing with StreamYard here. We can make this work out. There we go. All right. Can you guys see the screen all right on your guys' end?
Yeah, looking good.
All right. So we're going to start off with the bracket and I'll list these off for you guys too for each one. That way you don't have to, if it is too small, the screen wise, you don't have to squint to see. We're going to start with the bracket for the under $100. So I'll go down the line here. This is randomized. I literally closed my eyes and clicked the randomizer 20 times. So this wasn't any specific order. We have first
Shine Glide number 1. Interesting.
Hey, I promise you I randomized.
Cheap one.
So we'll go down the list here. We have the Savage Gear Shine Glide, the Molex Glide, River to Sea S-Waver, the Jackal Gantarel, the Spro KGB Chad, the Fish Everything HK6, the DRT Tiny Clash, Depths Slide Swimmer, the 6th Sense Draw, and the Storm Arashi. I believe the Depths Slide Swimmer, that's the smallest size, correct? That's under $100?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If this was the NCAA tournament bracket, I would consider Depths Slide Swimmer the hands-on favorite. And he's got the easiest path to the championship I've ever seen.
Okay. All right. So we're getting some. I like this.
Look at this.
We got a bracket insider from Bax. I like that. All right. Well, before we get into this, just to kind of go through with you guys, but also the folks that are watching, it's up to you three to determine the winners of each of these head-to-heads and ultimately determine the winner. So what we'll do here, obviously, if it's 2-1, 3-0, we're going to have a winner between the three of you guys. And at the end, we're going to have the bracket for the under 100. We're going to have the bracket for the over. And then we'll have the winner of each one go head-to-head to have our winner of the show here. And the majorities, the ones that were available on Omnia, guys, I do have linked down below if you guys do want to go check those out. But I say without further ado, let's I'll call you guys out. I think we'll go just kind of down the line here as we see it on the screen with Bax, Brendan, and then Alex in regards to your guys' pick. If you have a reason why, feel free to give a small spiel on why you'd pick one over the other. But we'll start here with the first round, and we have the Molex Glide versus the River to Sea S-Waver. Bax, what you think?
I'm going to go with the S-Waver.
Okay. Any reason why?
Well, it's longevity-wise, price point, I mean, it's probably one of the best introductory glides that's ever really been made. Now, functionality, it's probably about a 6.5 out of 10. It doesn't have a big, giant, wide glide like many other baits. It tends to roll. But if you guys watch Tactical Bassing, the proof is kind of in the pudding. It does catch giant bass, and I feel it's a gateway to big swim baits. Like, guys can spend $20 on a 168. They get a couple bites. They kind of get the addiction. They go, okay, I'm going to spend 50 now. Then they catch one, and they spend 100 plus. S-Waver is just a really good starting point. I recommend a lot of people, hey, I'm new in the glides. What should I get? Try an S-Waver. If you like it, go up from there. So Molex Glide, and it's just kind of there. It's very similar to a Savage Gear Glide, in my opinion.
Okay. I like that. And I think to your point there, Bax, I should have prefaced, we're going to go off these from each head-to-head matchup just based on fish catching, like which one you'd have more confidence in for fish catching. Feel free to give some great detail like Bax did as well. Okay, perfect. Awesome. All right, Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going River CS Waver. I mean, it's just out there. It catches them, May not be the prettiest out there, but it catches them. Okay.
Alex, I'm assuming we're going the S-Waver route as well.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with these guys. We're going 3 for 3 on this. The S-Waver is OG. Really the OG, man. It's proven. There were some consistency issues early on, but they really got it dialed in. It's just a good fish catcher.
Okay.
We're off to a good start on the bracket here, right? Like no upset in the first round so far. So
yeah, so far. So
yeah. And the randomized seeding.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we have to get to our preliminary round, if you will. This is like the what are these Baxter College basketball, like the 15, 16 games? Is that what they are? To get, who plays? Yeah, the play-in tournament.
Typically, the one Kentucky loses.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that or Virginia, for sure. Okay, so Bax to you. We have the depth slide swimmer, the smaller size, versus the 6 cents draw.
Well, I know many people would think that I would gravitate to the 6 cents draw, but to be fair and balanced, it's the depth slide swimmer. I mean, Butch Brown, giant bags before Josh Jones was gloating all over the internet with his A-rig. The thing about side swimmer, again, it's proven, and you can get the big 250 versions less than $100. I like the draw, great bait. It's pretty versatile, but it just hasn't been around long enough. Not saying it's not a bad bait and doesn't catch fish, but you send me on, I don't care, Lake Fork and say you got to choose one of the two and you got to catch a 10 plus. I'm probably going to go slide swimmer.
Okay, Brendan.
Since this is how I'm looking at it. Since this is the under $100 bracket, I'm looking at retail price. I'm not looking at like secondhand market price. If it was secondhand market price, I would go for the depth slide swimmer. But since this is retail, or at least I'm looking at it as retail, I'm going the 6 cents draw. I've never seen really any big fish caught on any of these smaller sized depth slide swimmers. I've just personally never seen them caught, any big fish. So I'm going 6 cents draw because I know Ben Milligan and some other guys have been catching big ones on it.
That makes things interesting here. All right, Alex, you determined the tiebreaker. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the slide swimmer. You can get them at some decent prices sometimes. I agree. If you're going to go with the large slide swimmer, it's like there's no doubt, right? Especially the OG. If you go with the foam core one, they just swim amazingly. If you go with some of the smaller ones, I definitely think they don't draw as hard as the hard kicking, high water displacement slide swimmers. But the smaller ones do catch. And I think it's one of those baits where, the first time I saw it and I threw it, I'm like, what is this thing? It looks like a toy. It's got this like plastic skin on it. But it's so much versatility. This bait, you can tune them, you can add weights to it. The other cool thing about it is with this skin, it's one of the baits that holds scent much better than any hard body swim bait. Which gives it a little bit more drawing power, and it sticks in, goes down a little bit easier as well too. So, versatility. I kind of agree. The slide swimmer is kind of like an easy favorite. I know it's an easy pick, but that'd be my pick.
Did you say hold scent? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, that's kind of a trick. So people paint like scent on top of the bait, and it gets real nasty. I have a box on the literally on the boat because I don't want the scent to get everywhere, and I'll just dip it in there, and it puts out a scent trail as you glide it. And it's able to do that because it's got this rubber skin on it. Whereas most hard body swim baits, that scent comes right off.
I definitely just sound like a moron right now, but that's just mind blowing to me. You can do that with lights. That's sick.
Yeah, it's like guys do it with soft bodies all the time, but most people don't do it with the hard body, but it has that same kind of that effect.
If you don't mind spilling the beans, what are you dipping it in?
I put a lot of stuff on it, dude. I put like hot sauce. Sometimes I put smelly jelly on some of them.
WD-40.
What?
I don't endorse that, but yeah. That works on a lot of baits.
For real? Hot sauce? Like
no, like
your Red Hots from Walmart?
No, there's hot sauce that like basically swim baits.
He uses the free packets from the Taco Bell Pro staff.
Fiery.
Wait, so there's actually a scent called hot sauce?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, I totally sound like it. This is why I bring these guys. This is exactly why I brought these three here, because I just sound like an idiot. This is way out of my realm. That's awesome, though. I'm actually going to be looking that up here in a second. Okay. On to the preliminary round here. We have 1 versus 8 being the Savage Gear Shine Glide versus the River to Sea S-Waver. Back, so you got.
I'm still going to go with the S waiver. Shine Glide's a really cool bait. It's very easy to work, but I'm going to have to go with the longevity of the S waiver and just thousands of big fish I've seen caught on that thing. I mean, if I can catch a 7-pounder on one, anybody can. So, Shine Glide's, it's more of a true actual gliding action. Doesn't have a lot of roll or anything to it, but I just keep it simple, man. S waiver, we're talking, for the money, dollar for bite. That's the one I'm going for.
All right. I like that. Brennan?
I'm going with S waiver. That's what I'm going with. I like the Shine Glide.
S waivers would be going far, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything to add on that, Alex?
Yeah, I go to S waiver as well too. One of the things about the S waiver is it's actually one of the easiest baits to fish. It's very intuitive. It's easy to get to swim right. You can bump it. Yeah, it's a good bait.
I dig that. Okay. I mean, granted my limited experience I have thrown both of them. I've noticed the Shine Glide seems easy to work, but throws like a dang helicopter. Like you can maybe get it 40 feet, but it does, like, for a $20 bait, it does walk rather easy. So it's to your point earlier, Bax, about entry level swim baits. I feel like, well, both of these obviously are great, but in something like that, more gizzard style, that might be your better entry level swim bait. Am I wrong there?
No, I think you're right. It has a good swim, and if you're on Tennessee River Lake like me, it's got big gizzard shad and skipjack and stuff like that. It definitely fits that profile.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have the Jackal Gantarelle versus the Spro KGB Chad Shad. What you got, Bax?
Believe it or not, I am going to go with the Gantarelle. It's been around a long time. There's been a lot of guys that kind of got into swim baiting and they want that bluegill profile. It might be the only gill perch profile swim bait on this list. It's caught a lot of big fish. Not real expensive. It has a really good swim, and one of the first swim baits I actually used, and I could make it do the whole 180, almost do a 360. I used to have a video of a bass chasing one out of a lay down, and I made it 360 and just come back. Very user friendly. I think you can add, I believe they used to come with a place you could add a weight on the nose or whatever, make it sink a different way. I like the Gantarelle. Chad Shad's a good bait. They're not very consistent. The ABS version, you'll get some that barely sink, and then you get some that sink like a rock. I feel like the Jackal has done a really good job with that Gantarelle, and it is pretty proven.
All right. Brennan?
I'm going Gantarelle. It was the first ever swim bait I ever bought. I've got a ton of good memories on that bait. I mean, the Spro KGB Chad Shad is like just a killer bait for beginners, being like $60. First time I ever threw it, I caught a 7-pounder. So but I've caught more fish and bigger fish on the Gantarelle. So I'm going Gantarelle.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, I almost feel like the Gantarelle shouldn't even be here because it's not traditional glide. It's got like, a 3-section. But since it's here, I'll tell you what, I mean, the Spro KGB Chad Shad, the original, the kind of the resin poured one, those are awesome. You get a good one and they are super fishy. And it's cool that Spro's got one now that's kind of affordable, available to everybody. But yeah, Gantarelle, man, this is one of the most, effective fish catching baits out there. You can fish it fast, you can burn it, you can kill it. Like I said, you can make it rotate. It's got, great hooks out of the box. Yeah, it's one of my favorite swim baits for the money. I always recommend it as one of the best value baits out there. So since the Gantarelle's here, it's here to party.
I like it.
Here to party. I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Looking at this, I think further, note to self is cross-check this with all swim bait guests whenever talk about swim baits. So that way there's something in here that shouldn't be. I'm actually genuinely surprised. So I will say, I'll note this on the over $100 bracket, we do have the OG KGB Chat Shed on there too. I'm genuinely surprised that the Gantarelle won over that. I mean, this is obviously heavily biased because it's the most expensive swim bait I've thrown was the Spro Chad Shad, and that's about as far as my experience goes. But that's cool to see. I love being wrong on stuff like that, and this is how we learn. That's why we're here. Andy, any comment on that? Have you thrown the Chad Shad a little bit? Haven't you?
Yeah, I've thrown Chad Shad. Yeah, I've thrown the Spro one. I mean, it's fun one. I've caught a lot of pike on it. So big northerns love to like indulge on that thing, and it's the most insane bite because they'll push the line like 10 feet when they eat it. So yeah, it's terrifying at the same time. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun bait to throw. If I can throw Spro Chad Shad, I think anybody can. So yeah, they're relatively easy to work.
All right. So we have next up, we have the Fish Everything HK6 versus the DRT Tiny Clash. Bax, what you got?
I don't have an HK6, but I got an OG paperweight 6-inch, and I have caught a ton of fish on this. If my hard drive wouldn't have crapped out last summer, you would have seen some bass slaying with this thing with Matt Robertson. So I've caught some good ones on this, and then here's your Tiny Clash. I mean, this is a buddy of mine makes these KOs. But man, I'm going to actually go with the Fish Everything, just because I've caught some big ones on. I know there's a lot of DRT fans out there, but I feel like that bait, in the time I've used it, it's almost like it works better if you work it like a jerk bait, like quick snaps and stuff like that. It's not so much like a KGB Chad Shad that goes back and forth. Mine has a lot of roll and stuff like that. But True Glide, I got to go to HK6, and they catch good fish. There's a lot of photos and guys out there that have caught some big fish on that Fish Everything. Now, if you want to put your opinions about the owner of that company and his shipping speediness, then might be a different story. But based on my experience, I love the Fish Everything baits. I think they're very, very versatile.
Okay. I've heard a lot of good stuff, mostly through Brendan being my, I call him my swim bait agent, if you will. He shows me where to put my money. Brendan, what do you got, man?
Yeah, I should say the Tiny Clash is not, it's a glide bait, but it's not one of the better glide baits out there. I like the other modes more, but I'm gonna have to go with the Fish Everything HK6, and this is it right here. So it's a little 6-inch herring kind of glide bait. It's $100. It's almost like a flat-sided glide bait. Like if you can think of it like a flat-sided crankbait, it's got a tight action whenever you swim it because that silicone tail, super super floppy, it adds drag to it. But killer bait. I've got a ton of really quality fish on it, and it catches them. But yeah, I'm going to that one because the Tiny Clash, I feel it's a little more of a crankdown, but you can still glide it, So
okay,
that's what I'm going with.
All right, Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to be the odd man out here. I think the Fish Everything bait's awesome. It's one of the best like glides out there, and hard to get too. Definitely collectability factor as well too. But I'm going to go TK, just because I've caught a ton of fish on it. I love it. It's probably one of the baits that, if you look at all of my pictures, I always have one tied on, and it's kind of because of that versatility. I mean, if you look at the like a full-size TK, it's got this tail, which, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't love it because you have to do a lot of configuration with it and you have to kind of tweak it a lot. And I agree, it's more of a traditional crankdown. But the way I like to fish the TK, which just has that smaller profile, is I put this other kind of like V-tail on it. And you see a lot of the up-down tails with the Joker. And this gets it to be more of a traditional type of glide bait. And you can rip it as well too and kind of get a more traditional glide. And you can burn it or fish it really slow, even suspending. I've caught a lot of fish on it. So in this particular configuration, I think it's absolutely deadly. But I agree, it's not a traditional glide in that sense, but because of the versatility, the TK is my pick. I've just caught a ton of fish on it.
Heck yeah. I like that we didn't have a 3-0 again. So that's perfect.
Yeah, I've been waiting for someone to disagree with me.
Yeah. We need more devil's advocates in this world. I like it. All right. So next up, we have the Depths Slide Swimmer versus the Storm Arashi.
I have a funny feeling that it'll be a clean sweep.
What do we got,
Bax? This was really tough for me, but I'm pretty sure the Storm Arashi probably don't even belong on the list. But can we substitute? Hey, y'all forgot one. I'm not going to lie, Brendan. I'm kind of disappointed here.
Uh-oh.
Can we substitute the Gancraft Joiner Claw 178 for the Storm Arashi? Maybe make a contest of this thing.
I like that. Yeah.
I like that better.
Okay. Let me I can let's let me edit this bracket here. Let me
No, you don't have to edit it. I'm just saying we're just not going to talk about the Storm Arashi and put the depths in its place. But we got to talk about the Jointed Claw, man. This is one that one of my first high dollar swim baits, even though it's less than $100. Has a nice saunter to it. Glides pretty easy. It's not a super wide glider, but this is like an S-Waver on steroids, and I'm pretty sure this is what the S-Waver always wanted to be, was this bait right here. But, of course, they got the bigger Jointed Claws that I forget, it's like 258 or something like that, 228. But, man, this is a very user-friendly bait. You don't have to have crazy equipment to throw it, and big fish are caught on this thing all the time. I mean, really solid bait.
What is it? The
Bigger than an Arashi Glide.
The Jointed Claw.
What is the model? Jointed Claw.
It's a Jointed Claw. This is the 170. I think they're about $55, $59. Sounds about right.
All right, let me bring this back up.
I look at this, Bailey. I even have one.
Oh. Dang!
Get out of here, right?
Andy's has got a lot of teeth marks on it.
A client and a friend actually gave me some glide baits after I took them to a local lake this past summer, and he caught a couple good ones on a glide bait, and then he sent me some. So I even got this guy. There's a good one for you.
Ooh, TSG 9.
So I got a couple, but I don't have time to throw them living on Lake Erie. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's not filling the screen now, but we're gonna rock with it. All right, so we have back again the Depths Slide Swimmer. Thank you for the substitution, Bax. We need to get this right, so feel free to call me out.
No,
like I said earlier, many times.
I'm gonna put the Jointed Claw above the Slide Swimmer.
Okay, all right. So it doesn't have the easiest route to first anymore at the depths.
We all need it.
You contradicted your own saying at the beginning. Yeah. You contradicted yourself.
You caused your own Cinderella story. I like it. All right, Brendan, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going Jointed Claw. I've caught a ton of good fish on that thing. I've never fished an Arashi, so I don't know if they're bad or not, but I don't know.
Hey, Brandon Polinick swears by them. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Yeah, watch Bailey catch a 10-inch smallmouth with an Arashi.
Yeah, 10-inch smallmouth, baby. Let's go. What you got, Alex?
Yeah, I think the Arashi is leaving the bracket now, but I think it's a good value. But I agree, it doesn't kind of belong in this kind of head-to-head competition. So this is the battle of JDM right here. I like this kind of head-to-head a lot better. Depth Slide Swimmer, OG, Gancraft. I'm going to go with Gancraft as well too, just because for the money, you can go bigger. You can get that 178 for the value. And yeah, the Depths, it's just, Depths is the OG, but the Gancraft it's easy to fish. You got a lot of patterns available. Super consistent. Jointed Claw.
All right.
Damn it, I tried to do something different and get spicy, and they all agreed with me.
Gave us another clean sweep. I
love the line
in
here
retrospect.
to show.
I was going to say, in retrospect, it would have been a clean sweep for the slide swimmer. So Bax knocked his own winner out of the bracket. Really.
It really was.
Wild card.
Trying to get the views up here, get the views and the podcast likes.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. We appreciate it. You could tell like our credibility for swim baits is not there when Alex from multiple baits is like, yeah, this doesn't belong here. Let's just get that out. That's why we got.
Hey, that's okay though, because at the end of the day, most people have never heard of a Gancraft or several things on this list. When a guy goes into a retail store, even a local specialty shop, for the most part, you're not going to see a depth slot swimmer. You're not going to see a Gan Craft or a Fish Everything. You're going to see an S-Waver, a Gan Trail. So there is something to being available to the public. And, when it's available to that many people, a lot of people that throw them are going to catch fish. So,
yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. And the people like me, like 4 or 5 years ago, that thought a 6-inch mag draft was a big swim bait. But here we are. We're making improvements, guys. All right, here we go. We are at the semifinal. The River to Sea S-Waver versus the Jackal Gantrail. What we got, Bax?
This one's actually pretty tough for me. I think the thing, and Xander hit on it, is the Gantrail isn't a true glide bait. I have worked it as just a straight swim motion, like a jointed swim bait, and had some success. But the S-Waver, it's in the name. It makes an S-waving motion when it's right. Again, you just go watch Tactical Bass if you want to see big fish caught on that bait. I got to give it the nod.
All right. Brandon, what do you got?
I'm going to have to go. Sorry, Baxter. I got to agree with you on the S-Waver. It just works good. I will put this out there, though. I do believe the Gantrail is considered a glide bait because if you look at the Eden 8, which is a glide bait, it's kind of like, even though it has 3 joints, they're super tight, and it still gives it that gliding motion. You can't really work it as a glide bait per se. I mean, I don't know. It's just, there's kind of like a gray area there in my opinion. I don't know, but that's what I thought. So, but yeah, I'm going S-Waver.
I was hoping for somebody to go against Bax here. You got it, Alex?
Yeah, I think, probably got to go S-Waver here. It's the bait that's probably put more fish in the boat than almost any other glide here. So,
hey, you said that's not the only answer you need to this.
it catches.
All right. Yeah, that's right. It catches. That was the point of the bracket, right? What catches?
Yeah. Let's switch it up.
We got
Brendan's gonna go first this time because he keeps.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, Brendan,
Gan Craft.
and then we'll go Alex, then Bax.
All right, I'm going Gan
Fish
Craft.
Everything
100%. Yeah, I've got more fish on that one for sure.
Okay, Alex, what do you got?
Gan Craft all the way. Yeah,
what are you doing agreeing with me?
I mean, it's available too, and you can get it in so many different patterns.
Fair enough. All right, Bax, what do you got?
I'll go with the Gan Craft. I'm going to agree with those guys.
Andy, you're supposed to change it up.
I know. I tried. Okay, I tried. I had a feeling that was going to happen, but unfortunately, maybe the next round, the more expensive ones will get a lot of 2-to-1 votes. But congrats. Yeah.
We haven't had a winner yet. What are you saying congrats for?
I'm just saying. No.
Are you drunk?
No, I'm actually not. I was going to say congrats to the Gan Craft is what I was going to say. But yeah, cut myself off.
Oh, gosh. All right. Let's change it up again. We'll go Alex up to Bax. So Alex, Brendan up to Bax. So we have the championship round to determine the winner that will go up against the winner of the over $100 bracket. That is the River to Sea S-Waver versus the Gan Craft Jointed Claw. You got it, Alex.
Well, I think the S-Waver for the money is probably the best bait on this list. But, if money was on the line or if I had to catch a big fish, I would throw a Jointed Claw. It's very consistent. Every single one is tuned pretty well. And like I mentioned, they come in so many great patterns. There's really flashy ones. There's opaque ones. There's transparent ones. So you can use them in clear water, stained water. So it would be the Jointed Claw for me.
Dang, okay. What you got, Brendan?
They're both fish catchers. They both caught a lot of fish. Yeah, I'm going with the Jointed Claw. I've caught bigger fish on the Jointed Claw, but I've caught more numbers on the S-Waver. So,
okay,
that's what it is for me.
I got you. Bax?
Man, I pulled a really good one out of my bait room. So
wild
if you look
card
at it like
winner.
this, are you going to go? I look at it. Are you going to go quantity like F Swaver you can get everywhere, or are you going to go quality because you're getting a really quality bait for the money from Gangcraft? One thing I do not like about the S Swaver, and it has nothing to do with action, their trout colors, spot on. They got a good coconut color. The rest of their stuff, honestly, it's kind of very blah in the color department. Not that the color always matters, but to a consumer it does. Gangcraft, Xander said they've got, you know, your muted colors. They got your bright flashy colors. They got some good natural colors. So if you're a guy like me, who's a jerkbait fisherman a lot, you know, I like those bright colors on bright days and muted colors on overcast days. And sometimes it's opposite in the swim bait world. But I feel like, again, you hand me one of each bait and say, go catch a 10-pounder, I'm going with the Gangcraft.
I dig it. All right.
Wow.
That's our winner. We have the Gangcraft jointed.
Congrats
claw.
to the Gangcraft.
Boy, if I was a Storm Arashi, I'd be giving him a high five right now. Got me off the hot seat.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, let me pull up the over $100 bracket. But let's say, so being that this bracket was under $100, kind of, well, let's call it your budget beginner swim baiter that's getting into it. Doesn't have a lot of money to put forth. Let's go from Alex up to Bax. Really quick run through, in your personal opinion, a great budget setup to throw the Gangcraft. Let's rod reel line. What do you guys think while I load up this other bracket? Alex, go ahead.
Rod reel line. There's a lot of good swim bait rods out there. Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the Mega Bass stuff. I mean, that's what I throw a lot. I don't know if it's considered budget, but you know, they're available. Most of my swim bait setups are custom setups. Reels, I like going higher speed reels personally, even for glides, because I find it easier to slow down a little bit. And then almost every setup I have, I run a kind of braid to like a fluorocarbon leader, and I change out my leaders almost every single time I fish for glides, just to get them down a little bit more. And then if I will sometimes go like a complete setup with fluorocarbon all the way if I know I'm going to just throw glide on that one setup. So, but yeah.
Okay. Brandon, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going, if you're going like budget, Dobbins Fury 795. It's a cheap rod. They're available everywhere. They've got a great warranty. And it handles, you know, soft baits with beast hooks and baits with treble hooks, you know, pretty well. I'm going with like 20-pound big game. That's for me. Now, if you're using beast hook baits, I like braid to a short 20-pound big game leader. That's me. So that way you have a little bit of stretch in there, but you still have some strength with that braid. And then I'm going to 200 Corrado. You can go with the older ones if you already have some of those, or the newer ones are great too. And I like a 7 gear.
Okay. Bax, anything different from these guys?
Yeah. So, like, if I'm throwing something like a Gangcraft, most of those baits, they don't weigh 4 or 5 ounces. They're actually kind of on the lighter end of the spectrum. And I actually use a 7-Eleven heavy action crankbait rod. It's a 6 cents movement, and I started using it by accident. I went to fish with Matty Robertson, and I was like, "Damn it! I grabbed the wrong rod." I usually use the Milliken rod, and dude, I love it because it's got backbone, but it's got that soft tip. So if you're wanting to do any kind of chopping or use some rod input, that soft tip helps. And you got a treble hook bait, so it doesn't hurt to have it load, because you know we're fishing these things pretty deep, you know, 7, 8, 10 foot. So they kind of load up on it. I'm a straight fluorocarbon guy. I use 20-pound Sunline Assassin. I haven't lost a big swim yet. Dude, you talk about antique. This is one of my favorite swim bait reels. This is the old school Chronarch 100. You can beat these things. I dropped this one out of the back of my truck down the highway, put a new handle on it. It still works fine. So you can find one of these on eBay or Facebook Marketplace for like $60. Now, the only downside, there's 6 to 1, I believe, but you can get a 7 to 1 kit for these to make them faster. But you can beat them up all day. You don't have to spend a lot of money. They work.
Yeah, those OG Chronarchs are bulletproof.
God, don't even get me started
I love
on
it.
things. I love it.
I love the dropping it on a highway and just replaced handle. Good to
True
go.
story. True story. I'm going back from Lake X with fishing with Mark Menendez. I'm driving down this back road. He starts calling me. He's like, "Hey, dude, like 6 of your rods and reels just flew out of your truck." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I'm thinking, gummit. And so I turn back around, meet up with him. My rods they're a little rash, nothing bad. I got 2 dial handles broken, the old Clone Art. It had rash, but it was perfect. It was still rode just fine. So got to respect
Imagine
that.
if you didn't have Mark to tell you that you lost 2 rods. That
Yeah,
would have been brutal. Just getting
There's
home.
one time I'm glad I was driving faster than him.
Yeah. Love it. All right. So we have the fish. Good Lord. We have the bracket here for over $100 glide baits. Thank you again to Brendan for the help on this, because literally I think beyond maybe 3 or 4 of these, I don't know. I've never heard of these glide baits before. So we have the Fish Everything Taxi Shad, the High Power Herring Glide, Tato Designs Eon Glide, the DRT Clash 9, Bull Shad Bull Glide, the Hinkle Shad, the Depth Slide Swimmer 250, 86 baits. I apologize if I butcher this. The Andromeda. Okay, thank you. Thank you. The Rafa Customs Joey Shad, 316 Workhorse, the original KGB Chad Shad, and the Tacklecraft Native Gill. That is going to be our top 12 for this one. We had top 10 for the last one. Brendan convinced me to make it a top 12 for this one, which I'm sure all you guys could agree we could do even more than 12. I'm sure there's many more out there. As Alex is probably shaking his head. He's like, "You idiots, you guys should have done like a top 24 or something for this."
They'll go forever.
We will have yeah, we will though. I'll say after we go through this, I do have a section here. If you guys have any honorable mentions that to include in something like this, by all means, to throw them out there. But let's kick things off like we did in the last bracket and go down the row here with backs to Alex in the first one with the oh good grief, hold on, I gotta start the main tournament here. Freaking technology. All right, so we have the High Power Herring Glide up against the Tato Designs Eon Glide.
HPH.
Mm-hmm.
This been around for a long time. Lots of big fish have been caught on that bait, and it's out of all the ones on the list, you could mix the Bull Glide in. It's probably the most realistic looking, and usually these super realistic baits do not produce like some other stuff, but the HPH produces. And one good thing about it, I like, if you're not a guy that just wants to kind of saunter it slowly, you can chop it or you can burn it, and it's you can work it really fast and trigger some really big bites on that thing.
All right, Brennan.
I'm going the Tato Designs Eon Glide. I think it's one of the better glides on the market. It's built well. The paint actually sticks to it. It's caught a ton of big fish. It swims pretty much in any way you want it to swim. You can reel it slow. You can kind of reel it fast. It's pretty much like a spinner bait of the glide bait. So you can throw it everywhere you want to, and you can work it fast to get a reaction out of it. You can glide it wide and slow. It has a good sink rate to it, and they're pretty darn cheap too. So that's it right there.
Oh, yeah. Andy, you got one of those, don't you?
Yeah, somewhere.
So
if I was to recommend someone that didn't have a budget for like a beginner glide, it'd have to be a battle between the K9 and this bait right here.
Okay.
If I can get it out.
Got a head-to-head. Alex,
I get the tiebreaker. So yeah, I mean, HPH, much respect for to them. It's one of like the really OG baits that kind of created this category. They're super hard to get. They're very collectible. In fact, every HPH has probably gone up in value since people have gotten it. The wait list for some of these is like up to 2 years. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Tato just because it is available. It's very consistent. And I do think it's just very easy to fish. It's very intuitive, and you can learn how to fish it and catch fish on it within like hours of throwing it.
I dig it. Okay.
Thank God we had a difference of opinion. No, that Tato is a really good bait. My buddy Josh Heron makes those, and I was like, man, if I say that, then everyone's just, oh, that's just because it's Josh's buddy. But dude, he makes a great freaking bait. That's actually a lot harder, those two back and forth, than many of them we've had on the list.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. We have actually really fast before two things. You said Josh Heron. Is that related to Matt Heron, who also does the?
Yep, that's his son.
Coat? I don't know why now this is all clicking to me, but that's good to know.
Just as ornery as Matt is.
Second thing, we got my buddy here who fishes the local kayak trail here in New York, Jose, in here, says no phony or Piz. I think you mentioned here too, Bax, that Piz is hype. So I will, as
super hype,
super hype. As Jose says, there's some bait rabbit hole is deep. We'll have to have like a part 2 or an extension off of this at some point, because there is so many there. And this, again, guys, this is reinforcing why I get these guys on here, not me. Because as Jose knows, I don't know my extent of swim baits goes as far as a Shine Glide and a Spro Chad. That's as far as
there could literally be like a hype bracket.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So wait, okay. I'm gonna sound like an idiot again, but that's my life, so I'm gonna rock with it. Hype bracket. What do you guys mean by hype? Am I missing something here?
There's certain swim baits out there that have so much hype, and like Piz kind of embraces that. But like, if you ever go to a swim bait show, go to like Toxic Day or the Universe the Gathering. There's literally a line like an hour deep to get in a Piz swim bait, and that's there's a ton of hype on it, and they're considered hype baits out there, just like super kind of like sought after grail swim baits, custom baits.
Yeah, just stand like 24 hours in line just to go waffle it 5 minutes later.
They're literally in the parking lot on their phone selling it on eBay for like $500. It's wild.
There's nothing against the bait. I've had a Piz. I had one of their crank downs. It just wasn't for me. The action was fine and everything, but I felt for the money, I got better action with other stuff. But hey, I'm a capitalist. If I buy one for $100 and I can sell it for $300, I'll do that all day. If I don't like it, there's some baits I like.
Alex, actually, let's go down the row here real quick before we go to this next one. How many swim baits, like legitimate swim baits, do you guys think you each own? Bax, what do you think?
Well, I'm looking at most of them. I scaled down quite a bit. For kind of like Alex said, I bought into the hype on a lot of things. Like I see all these guys posting them and really hyping them up, and I got several, and they didn't really live up to my expectations or what I was looking for as a fisherman. So advice: if you find something or a few things you like, get really good at them and learn the ins and outs of those baits. I see so many guys on Swim Bait Universe. They buy one on a Monday, on Wednesday they trade it. They ain't got time to go out there and actually learn what the bait's doing. Learn it, fish it for a while. If you don't like it, move on from it. I've probably in glides, I might have got 20, 25 total, but only about 5 different brands.
Okay. Brendan?
It's kind of hard. Easily, I mean, if you're including soft baits into this, easily over 100. Easily.
Ooh, okay. Alex, I got a feeling like you got this beat.
I'm just hard baits alone, because that's really kind of where I focus on hard bite swim baits, and especially just like custom swim baits, 500 plus. I mean, it's I probably got like 300 hanging in this room right here.
Bro,
man.
What is your problem?
Yo, it's an addiction, and I got it bad.
It's cool, bro. If you see my boss at Crankbait Brox, you'd say the same thing.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a rabbit hole, and you can go deep.
You could always smoke crack. That's what I tell my mom. I could always be addicted to meth.
There's worse things out there. For sure.
Yeah, it could always be worse.
That is the most Kentucky saying I think I've ever heard in my life. It's either swim baits or crack, Mom. Pick a choice.
Well,
awesome.
Depending on what mom you ask around here, you might get an answer you weren't hoping for, Bailey.
Fair enough. Touche, my friend. Touche. All right, Bax. The next one we have is the DRT Clash 9 versus the Bull Shad Bull Glide.
I did buy a new swim bait. Got me an 8-inch trick shad from Mr. Mike Buca this weekend. I hadn't even had a chance to put this on my stream, so custom painted. So shout out to Mike Buca. There's a lot of guys that's caught some big fish on that Buca Glide. It takes input really well. Like, you can make it slowly move. You can make it glide way out there. You can count it down, fishing a little deeper. Mike's like the OG of resin garage build swim baits. And he'd kick my ass if I said the DRT, so I'm going with the bullshit glide.
I love the reasoning.
Oh.
Wait, the bull shad one? Was that the one Evers was throwing at Red Crest?
So this is the one Evers was throwing. This is the trick shad. One way to tell the tail. This is more of a
silicone.
Yeah, it's silicone. Whereas the other one, I forgot what it's made of. It's a stiffer
tail. Urethane resin.
Yep. Thanks, Brendan. I can't ever think of the names of stuff. But also on the trick shad, if you'll notice how easily and far that joint moves. That allows the bait to turn really quickly. You know, you can make it chop. It doesn't have that real wide glide that the bull shad glide is. But very similar baits, but they're very different. But that bull glide, man, it gets some real good drawing power, really wide glides out of it. And it's got that, classic big-time gizzard shad shape. The guys here down in the South, Texas, other places, they want that shad-looking silhouette in the water.
All right, Brennan, what do you got?
Yeah, that bull glide is killer, but I've got more fish and bigger fish on the DRT Clash 9, gliding it around docks and grass lines. So I'm going there.
We got another head-to-head. Let's go. What do we got, Alex?
Man, for this one, I was all over the TK, but I'm going to go for the bull shad. I think Mike Buca makes a killer bait. Like the guy said here, it imparts so much action for every single bump, and you can pause it, you can turn it, you can even burn it. And it's just a really good custom bait. I think the K9's a really cool bait as well too, but I don't know. I just catch so many more fish on the TK, and it's just because maybe it's a smaller profile and fish just eat it a little bit more for me. But yeah, I think if it was the TK, I'd probably fish that. But between those two kind of full size glides, I'd probably have more confidence in Mike's bait.
All right. Well, it moves on to face the Hinkle shad next round. But next up here, 11 versus 6, we have the 86 baits. Say it again, Brendan. I already forgot.
Andromeda.
Andromeda. That was way different than what I was going to say, so that's perfect. And then the Rafa Custom Baits Joey Shad. We got Bax.
I'm going to be really honest. I've never fished either one of those baits. I have looked at them. I've been thinking of pulling the trigger on 86 baits. The Rafa's definitely known for catching some fish and some big ones. I'm going to have Andy break the tie. I cannot pick between the two. I just think his eyes get really big. I'm going to pass. I don't want to speak of something I don't know about. So,
well, we'll see. We'll see how the next two turn out here. But Brennan, what do you got?
This is the 86 Andromeda. It's like a 9-inch. Well, just the body's 9 inches, but it's pretty much just a giant, like super wide gliding shad glide. It's one of my favorite bigger body glides because of how true it runs. It runs super true.
Do you ever size up on those hooks? Those are some baby little hooks on there.
Yeah, that's the right size hook right there. Smaller hook gives you a slower sink rate, and it also, if those big fish are looking at this thing, it's less hardware on there. So for the bigger fish, it may be like the turning point for them to commit or not commit. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, and I've never had an issue with hooking them up, because the hook's right here. Most of my fish headshot it. Like if you could see it in person, like all the teeth marks are on the head. So the Rafa Joey shad, it's a killer bait. You want to talk about a wild bait? It's almost like the bull shad glide. Like you can do everything to it. You can tune the thing. It's amazing. But yeah, I'm going the Andromeda just because it's a big gizzard profile. We've got those around here, so I've done better on that bait.
What do we got, Alex?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I feel like the Rafa, it's like a really well-built bait. If you look at between the two, it's probably like the more artistic bait. There's a lot of kind of really cool paint that goes in there as well too. But I'm going to go with the 86 baits. It's really one of the best, most consistent glides out there. And there's just some really cool patterns. Like this is a swim bait underground pattern. You can see how realistic that is. It's got the soft body fins and all that. And it's just one of the most consistent baits out there. But, kind of my tip for this bait is fish it slow. Like a lot of the other baits that we talked about, like you can fish it really fast and they can kind of glide it really quick, or you can burn it back. This bait, I've had the most success just fishing it really slow. And I've had fish kind of nose up on it, look at it, and then eat it. Just like the way it suspends so perfectly in the water. So yeah, take your time with this one and it'll deliver.
Okay. All right. We have the last one for this round, 7 versus 10. We have the 316 Workhorse versus the original KGB Chad Shad. What you guys got, Bax?
Ooh, this is a tough one, man. So 316 makes unbelievable stuff. I'm actually going to go with the OG Chad Shad because, man, there's fish catches all across the country from up north to down south. That thing's a staple around the Ozarks, Table Rock. It won $100,000. A guy won a big bass tournament on the Ozarks. So the Ozark or Table Rock on the Chad Shad. So it catches bigs. It has definitely a cult following. And, so I'm going to go with the Chad Shad.
All right. Brandon?
Okay, so I'm a bit of a 316. I shouldn't say snob, but he makes my favorite baits because he knows what he's doing. He's like one of the better like bait makers. I'm not putting anyone else down, but he has been doing it for I think 25 plus years. His baits are solid. The Workhorse is my favorite glide of all time because it does everything right. It's literally one of the better glides, like probably the best glide on the market that I've ever used. Yeah, it's one of my favorites, but you can glide it super wide. It has the perfect sink rate. You can also chop it. It literally will not roll over on you unless you're above it and you have to hit it like this and it might roll over. It's a killer bait, and the consistency is there. The durability is insane. I've thrown this thing into all sorts of stuff, and the paint's not going to lift on you. It'll chip a little bit, but that paint is not going to start lifting. It does everything you need it to do, and you can skip it, which is crazy. It's not something you can do with many glide baits. So Mickey knows what he's doing. It's caught a 17-pound fish. Yeah, you can skip it, but I think the biggest fish ever caught was a 17-pounder on this in California. So it has the track record of bigs.
Good grief.
So there's my spiel.
Right. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Alex, what do you got, man? You got another tiebreaker in your hands.
I agree with everything there. I mean, Mickey Ellis, he knows how to make a good bait. The Workhorse is kind of legendary. There's so many baits that have now, tried to copy it or imitate it, knock it off. But it's still one of the proven fish catchers out there. It's a great bait. I've spent more time with the Chad Shad. It's probably the bait that I have a little bit more confidence in, and I think you can fish it a little bit more different speeds as well too. It's, we talked about the Spro version earlier, how that makes it more accessible. It's hard to beat the OG Chad Shad, and they last forever. The resin on them is super strong. Fish chew it. So just because I've spent more time with the Chad Shad, I've got to go with that one.
I'm literally dying inside right now.
I know. A lot of 316 guys would agree with you.
Oh, man. And one thing also to add real quick is you can actually feel this bait in the water like way better than you can feel any other, which is big for me as well. Because I fish like super dirty water, like 2 inches of visibility. So that's a big thing for me. So, but yeah.
I know Lee Livesey catches a lot of big ones on pork on that 316 workhorse.
Is that one of the ones he was throwing when he had that historic topwater day when he was it 30? I don't know how big the bag was, but he said he lost some giant at the last minute on a glide.
Assuming he throws that workhorse. And what's the other glide they make, Brendan?
Gizzard or the Beast?
The Beast. He throws that Beast. Yeah, in the workhorse.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Michael Bradley in the comments, dude, this is me. Okay, try hosting this. He said it's like I'm watching a foreign film with subtitles. We might need subtitles.
Shout out to William for letting me know I'm overcompensating for my small wiener. So
it's all good. Will's always negative in all these comments on these videos, but
it's okay.
It's true. All right, so next up we have 1 versus 8. The Fish Everything Taxi Shad versus the Tato Designs Eon Glide. Well, we'll start with you this time, Alex, seeing as though you've had a few tiebreakers on your hands to break up in the first round. So what do you got?
Yeah, these are both good as well too. I'm gonna go with the Tato, just because I think it's easy to fish. I think it's available. I think it's just a really, really solid bait. Also very consistent. I think, that Fish Everything is probably more collectible, but from a fishability factor, I'm going to go with the Tato.
I like it. What do you got, Brennan?
I'm going to have to agree with you. It's one of the better, I mean, in this bracket right here, I like the Tato a little bit more.
What did you have, Bax? We go in 3 out?
Go ahead and send Tato to the next round, buddy.
All right, next up we have 4 versus 12 with the Hinkle Shad versus the Bull Shad Bulldog. I think I know there's going to be another 3 and out here, but Alex, lead the way.
Dude, how is a Hinkle in here? I mean, like, how many people have a Hinkle? That's
a good question.
Yeah, talking about baits that people flip more than almost any other bait, and people have to wait years to get a Hinkle and to be on a list. These are some of like the most sought after baits out there, and they're pretty incredible if you fish them. But yeah, you got to have the balls, the cojones to throw one of these baits, because you're literally throwing a $500 to $1,000 bait on the line. So better tie good knots. Just because, in terms of fishability, again, I've got to go with the Bull Shad, because just that's the bait I can get, and I don't lose my mind every single time I tie one on and throw it out there. So I'm going to Mike's bait on this one. But yeah, Hinkles are legendary. It's just, you got to have the stomach for it.
All right.
Brennan? I've seen one break off, and it's like I literally cried. We were circling the water. Yeah, like we got snorkel gear and we went down there to try to find it, and it made for a terrible day because we could not get it back.
Hey. So for people, I have an idea of how much they've cost, because I want to say it was a Milliken video a long time ago where he was talking about them. I just, out of curiosity, searched it and just was like blown away by the prices here. But on average, like, what are these Hinkle Shads going for price wise?
Oh man, people pay up to almost $1,000 for a good Hinkle. But like, if you can get a Hinkle for $500, that's a good day.
I would say pre-Milliken era, you could find them for $350 to $400. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, no offense to my boy Ben, he kind of blew that thing up, and he was right. They did get to $1,000, if not more, at some times, because man, they were already scarce, and then you just put it in front of 1 million people, and now everybody's fighting over them. So, I actually got a buddy who's got 6 blanks of them right now. He's paying. He didn't tell me what he paid for the blanks. You can find a blank one. Alex, what do you think about $250 maybe?
Yeah, I'd say about 250, 300 for a blank. Yeah, and put that in the hands of a good painter. Man, it's going to be $500.
Sheesh.
It's wild.
Holy moly.
What's crazy is the bait market right now is like so low. Like everything's like pretty darn cheap. It's wild. Like I saw a Hinkle for like $350 yesterday, and I was like, dang! And it sat there for like 3 days. I think the other day, and it was it's kind of wild. Like how low the bait market is.
This is the lowest I've seen it probably for 4 years. Yeah.
No politics, guys. Let's keep the politics out of this one.
Buy low, guys. Buy low.
Buy low, sell high.
Brennan, what do you got, man?
Yeah, I got a chance to fish a Hinkle shad, and I will say it is pretty cool. It does some cool stuff in the water. It has a giant profile. It's a cool bait. I'm not going to be paying $800 for one though. It's got some big fish. I'm gonna have to go with the bull shad though. I just have to.
Dang,
that's me.
All right, Kev.
I'm actually kind of torn on this because even though it is a house payment for some people or a car payment, however you want to look at it, for the Hinkle, you cannot deny the drawing power of this thing. I mean, if you're truly going after the biggest bass in the lake that eat the biggest forage, you're going to bust out the Hinkle shad. But accessibility is a big thing, because if you do lose one, and even if you go scuba diving and you don't get it, it might be another year before you can find one. So with that, I like the Bull Glide. I think it's all around. I mean, you're still paying $150 to $200 for one, but all around, they're a little bit more accessible. They catch fish, and believe it or not, there's a lot of smallmouth guys that throw that Bull Glide and catch some big smallmouth on this thing.
All right.
And one thing to add, the Hinkles are not at all consistent. Like some of them float like a cork, and some of them sink like a rock. It's kind of wild. And some of them like glide like way wider on one side than others. So the consistency is definitely there for the bull shad too.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You could be paying for a $300 dud.
All right. Next up, we have the Depths Slider. Good grief. Depths Slide Swimmer 250 against the 86 baits. Oh my God, I'm messing it up again. I'm just gonna point, and then you're gonna say it, Brennan.
Andromeda.
Thank you. All right, Alex.
Bailey would not guess his spelling bee.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Stupid when I fish.
OG versus kind of like new. I'm going to go with the Slide Swimmer. It's just one of those baits that's super proven, especially that 250 size. It's kind of a great bait. You can catch fish of all sizes on it. Especially if you have one of the OG ones, and you're kind of talking about consistency. And when you get one that fishes perfectly, it seems to just draw. And definitely hold on to them. But Slide Swimmer 250, it's just a great bait. It's good for bass of all sizes. Stripers kill it. And I talked about the 86 baits. That's one of those baits, like I said, you kind of have to fish it slow. And that Slide Swimmer, you can kind of capitalize on fish that are a little more aggressive sometimes. So you can fish it throughout the day, throughout the year, 3 seasons of the year. So I got to go with the 250.
Okay. We got stray casts in the house tonight. It says Kev has a shed full of hinks and an old Kentucky holler.
Oh, a badge.
All right, Brennan, what you got?
It's kind of a no-brainer. The Depths 250. I mean, everyone's seen what Butch Brown has done with that thing. Like 10-pounder after 10-pounder after 10-pounder, all in video. Just wild. So, yeah, it's going there.
All right. Straightforward. I like it. Bax?
Yeah.
I'm going with the 250. It was the first truly real big swim bait. It's not, 7-inch bait. It's a really big bait. And my boy Matty Robertson's taking a lot of people's money with that bait on Kentucky Lake, and they still don't believe it, but it is a true story. If you can catch them on a Depths 250 on Kentucky Lake, you can catch them anywhere.
All right. We have 10 versus 2 here in the original KGB Chad versus the Tacklecraft Native Gill. Alex, what you got?
I'm going to go with the KGB Chad still on this one. I've spent more time with it. Again, I think it's just a really solid bait. And if you have one that is tuned in perfectly, it's just super fishable. So yeah, KGB for me.
I dig it. Brandon?
Yeah, this one's really hard for me. This is really difficult. The KGB Chad, it's an OG. It's been around for a long time, and they catch them. They really catch them. The native gill, it's another one for me that is kind of like a spinner bait and a topwater all in one. It's like everything. Like I can throw the thing everywhere, and it does everything I need it to do. So if I'm going to go out to the lake, I'm choosing the Tacklecraft native gill. I haven't really caught any big fish on it yet, so yeah, I'm going with the native gill. But that's it right there. It's also like beautiful.
Yeah. Pull it up full screen here.
It actually floats too, which is cool. So you can get it to sink. It doesn't take much to sink, but it's a really tight action as well. You can basically just fish it on top like a wake bait, but you can also work it down a little bit faster and work it like a glide bait and stick those little weight stickers on there, and it'll get it to sink down a little bit more, or you can get it to suspend in specific water temps. So yeah, I'm going native gill.
Perfect. All right. I totally just jacked up that stream there, so we have a reorder. I meant to take you out of full screen and literally just removed you from the stream. My bad. But we have a reorder now. Now you're in Baxter's spot. So Baxter, what do you got, man? You got a tiebreaker in your hands.
Y'all ever seen the movie Rounders with Teddy KGB? Give the man his monies. I'll go with the KGB Chad.
I've never heard it, but I guess we'll have to look it up.
Classic movie. I forget I'm old as dirt compared to you and Andy. I don't know how old Alex is.
Pretty up there.
He looks young, though, so we'll give you that.
All right.
You act like I'm as young as Bailey Baxter. I'm pretty old over here, too.
You sound like
Brennan,
you've been smoking cigars tonight, Andy.
No, I'm still recovering from my voice loss at the Bills game last weekend. So
Andy was full Batman on our last week's
This is from my boy Pat Renwick. I know it's a swim bait show, but like Cheeseburger Eddie, they don't call me the bait man for nothing, buddy.
That's the old 2.5.
4.5 right there.
RC 2.5. Nice.
We should do a square bill bracket challenge.
Oh, it's coming down the pipe. Don't you worry about it. This is only our second bracket, but so far the reception, the feedback on us doing these, especially live, has been great. So we're definitely going to keep on doing this. And looking at this one, we're like, yeah, we definitely need to call in the big guns on this one because Andy and I are completely outgunned. And let's use the word delusional when it comes to this one.
I like watching
I like
Andy's
looking
face
at him
when we're talking. Like Andy's eyes will go, whoa, whoa.
He's a kid in a candy shop. He's like, my wife's going to kill me if I buy that one. Oh, but I want that one.
But you know, if you are doing a Ned Rig bracket challenge, I would be just like Andy, just sitting there like.
Same. Oh,
that's funny. All right. So we have semifinal. We have the Tato Designs Eon Glide versus the Bullshad Bull Glide. What we got? We'll go top down. Now we'll go Brennan first.
Oh man. This is a difficult one. I'm gonna have to go with the Bull Glide just because Josh has not released his 9-inch yet. I'm waiting for you to release the 9-inch. So Josh, if you're listening to this, please do that drop soon. I'm gonna keep bugging you about it. But yeah, the Bullshad one for me.
All right. Max?
Man, two of these guys, both builders are good friends of mine, so I'm going to go with the Bullshad Glide.
Who are you less afraid of getting beat up by?
Josh is a little bit more nimble than Buka, but Buka's got the weight advantage. So
like a one shot.
No offense to Mike, he's deaf, so he won't be listening to this. But
all right, Alex, round us out, man.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sweep on this one. I also think the Tato bait is awesome. But yeah, I'm going to go with the bull shad on this one. Yeah, Mike builds a good bait. I kind of, one thing I say about his baits all the time is like everyone's kind of unique and like they're imperfectly perfect. I don't know, what it is about them, but fish look at them and they eat them. They just, they love them. They're that drawing power. And I think with the bull glide, the ability to fish it so many different ways at different speeds, it's really versatile and it's a great bait.
Nice.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, can't argue that as long as it freaking catches them.
Yeah.
All right. Second one we got here is semifinal. 10 versus 3 here. We have the Depth Slide Swimmer 250 versus the OG KGB Chad. Brendan, what you got, dude?
250. I love that thing. It's a big fish catcher, and it also shows you those big fish too. So yeah, I'm going with that. I love the Chad. Nothing against it, but against the 250, it gets smoked in my opinion.
All right. Well, change things up here. Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, slide swimmer for this one. It's the OG, and it's still one of the best baits out there. It's there's so much you can do with it. Like what you said there, it does get big fish to show themselves. Like, I don't know why fish are so curious about it. And I think part of the reason it's like that, it's got that great profile, but it's also that skin that looks different. It doesn't shine. It kind of looks like the skin of a fish. So, even though the first time I saw it, it looked like a toy. Yeah, it's a toy that fish like to play with.
Oh, I like that. It's a toy. All right. Why he's the writer, folks. What you got, Bax?
As much as I like a Chad shad, one thing about it, you don't have that real wide saunter. And I think these big bass, especially out in California, Texas, they like that big, slow, lazy glide. It's, look, it's a nice, easy meal. And that depth has got that. I think Alex is 100% correct. I don't think every bass wants to eat the thing. I think they just get intrigued by it and mesmerized, and they follow it. The Chad shad's more of a choppier style glide, which is cool. I mean, when they get real aggressive, man, that Chad shad's hard to beat because you can just work it real fast. You can chop it back and forth, almost work it in place. But you look at results over time, and honestly, the Chad shad's pretty young compared to the Slide Swimmer 250. That OG, man, I had one and I broke it off. It's somewhere on Lake Barkley, not Kentucky, Lake Barkley. And, I had that one though, because if I wasn't catching fish, I'm not talking every cast, but it would just show you fish. And that's something that's very underrated in glide baits. You may not catch them all, but a Depth 250 can show you some fish. And for a guy like me, if I can find an area that's got fish, I can come back and fish it with a totally different technique, knowing fish are there. Of course, this is before forward facing and all that stuff, but I got to go with the Slide Swimmer 250.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know about you guys, but I think that the Slide Swimmer is so special because of how silent it is. Like I can't think of any other baits that have a skin on them because always the joint is hitting and it's making noise. So I thought, well, that's probably what it is about the bait. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, maybe it's the swim, maybe it's the size and profile, but I've always thought it was the skin because it's silent, unlike any other bait out there, like soft baits,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Well, we have our championship round here. 12 versus 3. We have the Bull Shad Bull Glide versus the Depths Slide Swimmer 250. Bax, we're coming back to you, man. Lead us off here.
Man, really tough. But in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of the swim bait universe, if you see what I did there, I've got to go with the Depth Slide Swimmer 250. I've just seen too many giant bags, too many giant fish caught on it. And that's no offense to the Bull Glide. I think the longevity of the Bull Glide will be there eventually. I mean, we're going to look back in 10, 15 years and say, man, that was one of the baits that really helped this thing take off. But it's just hard to argue with that slide swimmer. Again, that profile, Brennan, it's relatively silent. And, the Bull Glide is this shad profile. That slide swimmer is really a trout profile if you look at it. And I thought there's no way, I'm throwing it here in the South. They're going to want to look at that. No. Just because it looks like a trout, a northern largemouth bass will still come up there and try to eat the thing. So I'm going with the slide swimmer.
All right. Let's see. Let's go, Alex. What do you got, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is new school versus like old school, and the slide swimmer. It's a proven bait. It's one of the first baits that I think a lot of big bait anglers cut their teeth on. And now with it too, there's kind of like translucent patterns, which have also opened up the versatility of it. You can fish it in very, very clear water. You talked about Butch Brown. I mean, getting those things dialed in and just how many fish that it's caught. The other cool thing about the bait, with that skin, not only does it make it different, it makes it highly durable too. You can fish it a long time and they just look no worse for wear. They just last forever. So, and you also can stick a weight in it as well, so that you can get down into different zones as well too. So you don't have to fish on the top of the water column. So just in terms of the versatility of the bait, just how proven it is, it's the OG for a reason. So got to go with the 250.
All right. Well, we have our winner, but any input, Brendan?
No, 100% 250. 250, 100%. I love the Bull Glide. It's got to be the 250.
We have our champion, the Depths Slide Swimmer 250 versus, as Andy wanted here, a head-to-head from the brackets. Going head-to-head with the Gangcraft. And so I'm assuming, I think I already know the answer to all of this. But what are you guys going to take if you're going to go out and just catch fish? Let's call it numbers and size, a hybrid here. Are you guys going to pick up either the Gangcraft or are you going to pick up the Depths? We'll start with Brendan.
I'm going with the Depths. It has that drawn power, and you can snap it pretty hard to get those fish to react, and you can glide it wide and everything, and you can draw on those bigger ones. It's Depths 250 for me.
All right. Bax?
Probably Gangcraft, honestly. I mean, the Depths definitely got a little bit more drawing power, bigger bait, but I really like the Gangcraft. It's a really good bait. It's slept on. And again, if I just want to go fishing, I don't have to get some crazy swim. You got to have a hell of a setup to throw a Depths 250. I can get my 7-Eleven heavy cranking rod and go to work with the Gangcraft.
All right. We have down to a tiebreaker, Alex. Finish us off here. What is the champion?
I'm going to go with the Depths. I think for the majority of the time. The one time I think the Gangcraft, when the fish are really aggressive, or when they're feeding actively on top, or when it's like really hot out, the Gangcraft is super deadly. So that's what I would tie on like in the middle of summer. But for the rest of the year, it's probably got to be the Depths 250.
Dang. Okay. All right. The Depths 250 is the champ. The champ of our show. I know we're missing out a bunch. So we'll have to do a whole nother round here. But for real, that was fun. I definitely learned a lot, and I know I'm going to be spending a lot of money. Thank God my wife does not watch this show. So that's a good sign here. But for real though, yeah, exactly. For real though, the three of you guys, thank you guys so much for taking time out to come on here and educate the two of us, but also everybody that was watching and will be listening. Definitely educational. It definitely helps people that are in there, looking at bigger swim baits, whether budget under $100 or over $100, be able to give them some options. So I think that was pretty good. So I appreciate it and appreciate you guys taking your time.
Hey, before we sign off, I got this thing, and I since we got
those are good.
Tackle Tour on here, got given this over at the East Tennessee Fishing Expo. It's the Grand Edge, and it's got a really cool feature here. If you see that joint, you can push it in and put it in tight mode,
Yep.
or you can pull it out in flexible mode. And I thought, man, that is really unique. I mean, that's a JDM design swim bait. I want to throw this thing. I love that color, by the way. So I wanted to show it off, Brendan.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's a couple of them that are coming out right now that are interesting. Here's the Tiemco, and that's like kind of like a $50 bait. It's got a lip on it, and you can do the same thing. You can pull it out, and you can change the swim rates and the kind of wag rate, and you can make it almost fish it like a jerk bait, or kind of like a more traditional glide. And then if you want to see like some prototypes, here's one that's coming out. It's from Gomexis, who makes typically handles, but I don't know if I'm supposed to show this yet. But here's a prototype. This is one that kind of unveiled at ICAST, but
it's got hold on, is Berkeley watching the stream?
So
sorry.
No KOs, but I mean, so here's the one of the first aluminum bodied swim baits, and it's going to have a really unique sound to it. And like you mentioned, there's actually a button here that you can push and pull out and change how tight that joint is. So it's kind of an interesting concept, which will change the swim rate, the knock sound, also the glide rate as well too. So that's kind of a unique bait, and you can remove the lip as well too if you want to just get like a topwater big glide. So, that's a kind of a new material, building it out of aluminum. We'll see how that does.
That's badass. I paint aluminum for a living. I might be painting swim baits and not even know it.
There you go.
There you go.
I was just going to mention that's a killer bait right there. I have a buddy that has one. These are sick.
Does he fish it lip in or lip out?
He fishes without the lip.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my
Mibro, actually. Mibro, it's a JDM company. They make like a little swimmer, but it has like a straw through the joints. So if you can put the straw in, or you can take the straw out, and it changes the swim on. It's like is that it right there? I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
What are you showing over there, Bax?
This might be a new one for the under $100 next bracket, the clutch.
Mm.
Oh yeah, clutch.
Yeah.
All right.
This is Mr. Andrew Hayes. I picked this up for Andrew Tackle Talk.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot. Like, if you guys have any honorable mentions, obviously feel free to throw them out there. But I think too, some people in the comments, as well as I'm sure all of you guys can agree, both these brackets could have been like probably double or triple the size. But the whole world of this is it's honestly amazing to me. I doubt I can go full bore. I'm trying not to go full bore into it from a wallet
You're
standpoint.
ruined.
But
Stop
from a pure, just like
glide baits.
I'm half tempted, honestly.
You might be the next Zell Dangerous and don't even know it, Bailey. You've got the stash down.
He gets a way better stash than I do. I can't do the Zaldane stash. But no, it's just it's a fascinating game to me, because it's like the true, take the money and the glamour aside. This way of fishing is like the truest form, I feel like, of hunting. For trophy hunting and fishing. And obviously it's developed into this thing where we're like, Brendan, in conversations with you and Alex, obviously we spent a lot of time together, where it's like, you guys have showed me how these swim baits can be, Brendan, you said it multiple times in the show. I don't even throw a spinner bait. I'll just throw this instead of a spinner bait, where it's like, you're finding where these things can be of purpose, where it's not just the Clearwater, California reservoirs that are throwing these things anymore. It's pretty cool to see, to dive into, at least from my level, my learning curve. It's fascinating.
Yeah, dude, I started with the 6-inch Bastrix paddle tail.
Oh man.
And now I've got, ridiculous stuff. And there's something about that swim bait bite, whether it's on a paddle tail or a 9-inch glide bait, you don't get that from other stuff. Sometimes I do on a spinner bait, but throwing a jig, the thump is cool, but throwing that big glide, especially if you get a follower, and you make that follower commit. I tell people throwing big baits is like deer hunting with a rifle or a compound bow. There's something about bow hunting that you feel closer to the animal, and you get that in these big swim baits.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's watching them like react to it, and and eat it, it's almost, you'll start giggling the minute that you catch one on it, and like your heart will stop when you see that big one chase it up. It's a lot of swim baits. I mean, we could do a bracket just on wake baits, because like, watching them come up and eat it, and just like making them, react to the bait, it's heart stopping. It's addictive.
It's crazy.
You say the moment you catch them, but the moment I see one chasing it, I'm giggling like a little girl. To be honest,
I usually get real quiet. I'm like, dude. Yeah.
You know what's wild is there's a guy in Florida, Keith Wilson. He's a big Working Class Zero guy, and I saw his video on the Working Class Zero YouTube, and he was throwing the Citizen on top of mats, or he was talking about it in a podcast. So I tried that. Dude, you throw in a 7-inch soft bait on top of a mat, and you watch like a 6-pounder blow up through the mat to get your bait, and you slam on him with the hook because it's a beast hook bait. So you just slam on him. Dude, it's one of the most fun things to do. Like, I would do that than glide bait. Like, I would rather do that than glide bait. It's like even bigger than frog fishing. Like, I like it's wild. It's so much fun.
I think this has opened our eyes to that we're going to have a lot of more big bait brackets coming up that I'm sure I'm going to have you guys on speed dial for some of these, because yeah, dude, it's so much fun. And just diving into it, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Alex, like rats, like you have a whole rat bracket and things like that, and that could be a hell of a lot of fun. But we are coming up on a long show here, and I appreciate you guys sticking with us and teaching everybody and having a good time here. So what we're gonna do is we'll let you guys go one by one here. What I want you to do, obviously beyond yourselves, so I think you guys are all great resources for information, not even just on swim baits, but tackle in general. But let's show some love to some swim baiters that people, if they're listening to this or watching this, to use as people either follow on social or they have YouTube or whatever that they can tune in for some swim bait, either info or how they're fishing them. So I'll go through. If you guys have anything that you want people to follow along, like Tackle Tour or you guys' YouTube channels, plug that, but then also maybe one swim baiter that people should follow along. And Brendan, we'll kick it off with you, man.
Okay. Alan Bell, Lake Austin guy. I had a chance to sit down with him on my podcast about it. And the dude is like, he started the whole like Texas swim bait kind of deal. Like, he was the first on the scene. I believe he had Butch Brown actually out there with him, but he has a YouTube channel and Instagram. He's a really great guy, and he knows a ton about big fish and targeting them, especially fishing around grass. So he would definitely be one. And my YouTube channel is just Brown Bait Co. I've just done a few podcasts on there, but yeah, that's it. And Instagram is Brown Bait Co.
All right. Yeah, what I'll do too is I'll find each of these guys that you guys mentioned, and I'll add them into the description below for you guys, so you guys can go follow along, things like that, show them some love. But Brendan, appreciate you, buddy, and I'm sure it'll be a very short time we get you back on here.
Thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. Catch y'all later.
All right, Bax, you're up, man.
Well, I'm gonna go really unconventional, because it's who he is. It's Matt Robertson. And for a long time here on Kentucky, like, guys were always, what's Matt Robertson doing? What's Matt Robertson doing? I can't figure it out. And he's catching giant bags. I mentioned the Depths 250. That was a tool, but he was kind of the guy that we were good friends, but I never ever asked him, what are you catching him on? And we've had a lot of conversations, been in the boat, and he taught me to get confident in throwing those big baits. And this may be an outlandish statement. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. But if the dude can catch him on an ugly stick and a catfish rod, throwing $300 hog fathers, he's a damn good swim bait fisherman. I'll even say I think he's the best swim bait fisherman on the tour. So even though he comes across as redneck and all that, I mean, he knows what he's doing with a glide bait. And if he's ever telling you something on Bass Live or in a YouTube video or whatnot, or on a stream, I do get him on. He's legit. He knows what he's doing, and he's kind of proven himself as being a good swim bait fisherman.
Yeah, you'll get the full spectrum out of him, whether you'll get an ugly stick and throwing a Demiki rig for smallmouth and making a top 10 on Champlain, and
Yeah.
And you'll have him the swim. One at the moment I knew Matt was a swim baiter was when he had all that stuff stolen out of his truck and he was telling people all the different swim baits he had taken. I was like, oh dang, okay. And that's what I kind of realized what was going on from the.
He knows his stuff, man. Like he knows the sink rates. He knows which ones glide wide, which ones are choppy. He knows the ones he can fish deep, and he's got certain ones he likes fishing over top of the brush. He's really figured it out. More knowledgeable in my neck of the woods than 99% of people.
Sick, man. Well, folks, make sure you guys subscribe to Bax. Peace out, buddy. Appreciate you. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel as well, full of knowledge, and always a good time on his live streams. And then we have back down to our last fella here, the last one. First time on the show. Yeah, last man standing. First time on the podcast. Probably never wants to talk to us ever again.
No, man, this was fun, dude. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this. And after talking to those guys and you guys, it just makes me want to go fishing with you guys even more.
Dude, heck yeah. We've had the chance to fish together before, but I don't think we've ever had the chance to go like fish, like go for a day, media side, like let's go throw some big. I want to go throw some rats with you. Honestly,
come out west, man. Yeah, let's throw some rats for sure, man.
I know we've dabbled the idea. We definitely need to make that happen for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate you taking the time, man. And I definitely hope to get you back on here because I think you're a wealth of knowledge. And for real, people, if you guys have not looked into Tackle Tour yet, you had some Tackle Tour fans in the comments.
Oh, really?
You guys need to check out Tackle Tour if you haven't already. But do you have a swim baiter in mind?
Yeah, like the Spotlight. I mean, there's so many good ones. My favorite rat out there is the Elude Rad Rat. That's the bait that I've probably posted the most videos on just because I've caught the most fish with it. It is my go-to bait. I will never leave the ramp without this bait tied on, especially if it's like low light bite. Spotlight elude baits, but also like for traditional wakes, I think everybody has probably heard of the UFO mothership, UFO, follow UFO. Eric, he's just one of the best builders out there. Awesome dude. And he posts some great videos. And, he makes everything from the mothership all the way down to this tiny guy right here. And then we were talking about glide baits today. This is a prototype of one of his UFO glides. He was going to be releasing some more UFO glides later this season. And then I would say one of the up and comers. So follow this. And a lot of people don't know about this yet, but this is kind of like the big bait, basically bladed bait out there. And this is going to be dropping probably in about a week or two. So this is the Donkey Slayer. It is a giant bladed bait. If you haven't heard about the Donkey Slayer yet, it's coming. People have been fishing this for years, but it's been kind of a secret bait out there, and he's going to make it available live for the first time to people in a drop in the next 2 weeks or so. So yeah, check out the Donkey Slayer.
Dang, I would have thought that'd be like a musky bait or something first.
Oh, dude, it has caught so many big Delta bass. The guys have been fishing on Tournament Trail out here for a long time, but yeah, you can put a swim bait on that as well too. And you can kind of compare it in size versus like a traditional bait with that blade right there. It catches bigs.
That's sick, man. Heck yeah. Well, buddy, appreciate you big time. Thank you so much for taking time out, and I hope to be talking to you real soon, and hopefully we go fishing together at least this spring or summer.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I'll catch up with you guys if at ICAST, if not sooner.
Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate you.
Have a good one.
See ya. Andy,
man, that was
what a
fun.
show, man. That was a lot of fun. I think that was the majority of us literally sitting back and just learning, taking that all in.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Again, yeah, I appreciate all the guys for taking time out and joining on and doing the 2 bracket challenges. I don't know how often we'll do 2, but definitely I think is warranted. We're talking about swim baits and obviously open our eyes to, hey, we should have had a lot more in those brackets, but nonetheless, that's how we learn. That's how we get, expand and improve and with stuff like that. So a lot of fun. Obviously, a great first part to our show with Rob, and good luck to him as he embarks on his rookie season on the Elite Series. And then, guys, if you looking back, if you're still listening, still tuning in, if you're looking back on any of those swim baits, if they are on Omnia Fishing, we will have that down below for you guys linked. But also feel free again to scan this QR code. That way you guys can get a Premium Pro, which saves you big money on baits. Like when you have tackle orders, you get a lot of money back from that Premium Pro, but also with the features that come with Premium Pro, like those mapping layers, there's a lot of big advantages to Premium Pro for a very cheap price. It's a subscription based for a year. I want to say it's around $30-ish for the year, and I'm telling you, you get your money back tenfold. So you save money, you build up rewards to get from tackle, but then also the map layers, which when you're buying some of these big baits, you order a couple of those swim baits from the first one, and you're gonna basically almost get halfway to buying another bait. So it's ideal. Highly recommend you guys look into that. But nonetheless, Andy, tonight was a great show. And any takeaways before we wrap this thing up?
Man, some fishing baits cost way too much money, and then there's ones that are driven by hype that make them even more expensive. And I guess my biggest takeaway is like the depth side swimmer, right? Like the OG. At the end of the day, the originals usually win, even though it's $170 and it might not be the same as the original ones. Like sometimes when baits are tried and true, they just kind of never go away. They're just slightly forgotten about.
Yep. Agreed. Definitely did not order one while we were on the live stream. Definitely don't have my order confirmation number. No.
I wouldn't put it past you. Your secret's safe with me.
Yeah. Secret safe with you and everybody that's tuned into this. So all 2 people. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, super fun. That was freaking awesome. One thing I want to reiterate is, like boats and methods of fishing, everyone has their style. So if there's probably a bunch of people that are like, I will never throw anything like this ever. And that's okay, because literally, there's a good chance I will, as much as I talk about it, I will never throw anything like this. But there are all methods and different things when it comes to throwing swim baits. Definitely don't need to be doing that to catch fish. If you have the money and you're able to do it, by all means, like, more power to you. There were some comments. We're never going to knock anybody's style of fishing because, again, we're all here to catch a bass. If you can afford it and you enjoy it, by all means, do it, and we support it wholeheartedly. And with that, appreciate y'all. Again, next week we're not going to be going live because, again, I will be in the Dominican Republic, so I don't think I'll have service or anything like that. No idea what Wi-Fi is like, and I think my wife would kill me if I did anything like that while we're on our honeymoon.
You only live once.
Yeah. So we'll have a show recorded for you guys in some form or fashion for next week. It just won't be live. So that's all for tonight, folks. Appreciate you guys. And we will see you on the next one.